Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah, very good morning. So, shall we begin the session? Yeah, hi, Joseph. I'm fine. What about you? Yes, yesterday, yesterday was the deadline for that assignments. So, shall we begin the session? This is the new module. Today, I'm going to start with the last module of this Edexcel course. That is unit number 4, project design, implementation, and the evaluation. What are the various yes, what are the various ways by which we can design the project, implement, and evaluate. So there are three steps in this module. One is a project designing, that is how to design, what is the coding, what are the various phases that we have studied in the last module also, requirement gathering, analysis, design, whatever the stages that is available. Then implement. Implement means that is a physical implementation at the physical or at the user side. That is implementation, and at last there is a evaluation, that is how to evaluate the thing. So there are three parts: project designing, project implementation, and the project evaluation. So shall we begin or wait for others, because this is a new module and I'm going to start with the various LOs, that is the learning outcomes. So I think we should wait for 5 minutes more. All right, so let's begin with the session. The main aim is to provide the learner or develop the learner's skill of the independent inquiry by understanding the sustained integration of the direct relevance to their vocational, academic, and the professional development. That means this chapter or this module is based on the project designing, implementation, and the evaluation as sustained environment, as sustained investigation of the direct relevance of their vocational things, academic, and the professional development. And this unit provides the opportunity for the learners to develop the decision making power, problem solving power, and a communication that is integrated with the skills and the knowledge base developed, or the knowledge that is developed in many of the or in many of the other units within the program to complete a project, and that requires a learner to select, plan, implement, and evaluate a project, and finally presents the outcomes. So whatever the outcomes, whatever the scenario that is available, so that outcomes will be presented out, that outcomes will be available over here in terms of the process and the product of the project. And it also allows learners to develop the ability to work individually and with others with a defined time scale and given constraints. And if this is a group project, each member of the team must be clear about their representations or responsibilities at the start of the project, and the supervisors must ensure that everyone is accountable for each aspect of the work. That means everything is, or each member of the team must be aware or must be fully responsible for each and every project that is available or each and every aspect of the work, and also makes a contribution of the end results. So first one is it provides a develop skills, or it develop the skills in the decision making, problem solving. Then it also used to implement, select, plan, and implement or evaluate a project, and finally presents the outcomes in terms of the process and the product of the project. Then if it is a group project, each member of the team must be clear about the responsibility at the start point of the project, and the supervisor must ensure that everything is accountable for each aspect of the work and makes a contribution to the end results. Now, learners must work under the supervision of the program's tutor or the work-based managers. There are four outcomes of this module, LO1, that is learning outcome 1, 2, 3, 4. First one is be able to formulate the project. Formulate a project means designing or what are the various key attributes, that is the initial stages, initial requirement that is used. So first is be able to formulate a project. So first one is a project selection or the project. So project selection is the first one, that is researching and reviewing the areas of the interest, then literature review, and then methods of the evaluation. What are the various methods that is used in the evaluation? Now feasibility of the project. Feasibility in the sense, what are the various learning outcomes of the project that is used? Then specification, selection of the project option, initiating a project, estimating the cost and the resource implications, then identifying the goals, what are the various goals and the limitations. The next one is a project specification. So one is the project selection, that includes all these things, that is a critical analysis, feasibility study, value of the project, rationale for the selection. The next one is a project specification. What is the specification of the project? That is used to develop and structure a list of the requirements that is relevant to the project specification, that includes what is the cost that is required for the project, time scale, time duration, scale of the operation, standards, ethics, and why it is fit for the purpose or fitness for the purpose, business data, and the resource implications. So these are the various specifications of the project that we are going to study. Then procedures. What are the various procedures? That includes the process of the planning and the monitoring, operating methods, lines and communications, or lines of the communication, risk analysis. So these are the various procedures how to formulate a project. So one is a project selection, then project specification, then what is the procedure that is followed out, then project plan. Planning includes production of a plan for the project by including timescales, deliverables, milestone, quality assurance system, and the quality plans, monitoring progress. So these are the project reviews that is used in the project specification and the project selection. The next one is be able to implement, that is L2, be able to implement the project within the agreed procedure into the specification. So what are the various agreed procedures? What are the specifications that is used? So first part is the implementation, how to implement the procedure, how to implement the terms. So proper usage of the resources, working with the agreed timescales, use of the appropriate technique for generating the solutions. What are the various solutions, how to use that resources, what is the time scale, that means how to implement, or we can say what is the time budget, but yes, that is the time constraints by which we can, or as a system analyst, I have to finish that project, I have to finish or make that system within the time budget. Then monitoring the system, monitoring the development of the systems against the agreed project plan, maintaining and adapting the project plan wherever it is appropriate. It is not that I'm going to maintain and adapt the product plan. No, there is no requirement. If there is any requirement, then it is very appropriate requirement. The next one is a record, that is systematic recording of the relating or the relevant outcome of all the aspects and the stages of the project to the agreed standards. The next one, after this one, and there is LO3, be able to evaluate the project outcomes. So first is be able to formulate a project, then implement the project. That means we have done the implementation. Next one is if there is any problems, if there is any requirement, then evaluate the project outcomes, that is project output. So what are the various evaluation techniques that is available? So that includes the detailed analysis of the result, detailed analysis in the sense detailed study of the results, conclusions and the recommendations, critical analysis against the project specification and the planned procedures, use of the evaluation techniques or use of the appropriate evaluation techniques. Then what is the PERT and the Gantt chart, that is a project evaluation and the review technique, and the Gantt chart that is available, that also provides the studies or the further studies and the development. After evaluation techniques, there is also a ways of the interpretations. Interpretation means what are the various project outcomes, how to justify the project progress and the outcome in terms of the original agreed project specification. The next one is a further consideration, that also used with the significance of the project, application of the project results, implications, limitations of the project, improvements if any. If there is any improvement, then also that improvements will be improved, and also provides a recommendation for the further consideration. That means if there is any recommendation that you should do this, you should do this for the further considerations. So first part is formulate, then implement, then evaluate. Last part is to be able to present the project outcomes. So one is evaluation, then how to present, what is the presentation criteria. So that one includes record of the procedure and the result, relevant documentation of all the aspects and the stages of the project. What are the various stages that we have studied in the last class, also in the last module. One is the investigation, then analysis, design, coding, testing, implementation. So these are the all stages that is used. So provides the documentation. Documentation means every step has some documentation, has some records that is available. So that contains record, that contains the documentations. Then format. What is the main format for this one? That is professional delivery format, appropriate to the audience, appropriate media will be used. And LO1 contains these assessment criteria for the passing marks. At least this is formulate and record the possible outline project specifications, identify the factors, and so on. So let's start with the module. Let's start with the PDF of the module. This PDF I'm going to send after the class. This is the PDF for this module. That is designing education projects. That is need assessment, planning, implementation, and the evaluation. Now these are the table of content, means the index of this one. First is the introduction, who should use this manual, a word about the programs and the project, what are the various programs and the projects, then project development as a cycle or the project development life cycle, how to develop the project, what is the main cycle, that is the birth to the mature process, that is the project development as a cycle, and how this module works. So first part is needs assessment. First is we have to need the assessment, how to assess the material, how to assess the things. That is the introduction, what is the needed assessment, what is the need assessment, why there is a need assessment that is important to the project design and the implementation, planning a need assessment, should a consultant be hired or not. Then part 2 is project planning and the implementation. So first is need assessment or the needs assessment. Then second one is project planning and the implementation. How to plan out the project and how to implement the project. That includes the introduction. Then second one is planning and implementing an education project. Then part 2 is wrap up. In this only, yes. So first is how to provide the planning out or how to plan out the project material, what are the key material that is required and how to implement that. Then last part is the project evaluation. Evaluation means after implementation, if there is any evaluation technique that the project provides the correct outcome or not, that is a project evaluation. That includes first part is introduction, then what is the project evaluation. If why evaluation is very important to the project design and the implementations, then plan out the evaluation, plan out the steps that is followed for the implementation and the evaluation, and who should conduct the evaluation. What is the evaluation cost, ethics, then wrap up of this part. Then part 4 is a data collection instruments. What are the various ways by which we can collect the data, that is a data collection instrument or the techniques. The first part is an introduction, then matching the data collection instrument, that is what is being assessed, what is going to assess and why. Then validity and the reliability of the evaluation instruments. Then mixed methods means a combination of the evaluation instrument, combination of the reliability or readability, reliability and the validity. Then types of the data collection instrument. What are the various types? What are the various ways by which we can collect the data, that is the data collection instruments. Then selecting the right data collection instrument. Appendix A is a fact sheet on the data collection instrument, determining the sample size, logic model and the performance measures, levels of the evaluation. Now let's start with first one, that is chapter number 1, introduction. Who should use this manual? Why there is a requirement of this manual? So lots of the time, efforts and the other resources that is goes into development and the implementation of the projects. The main goal is to create effective project that can serve as a model of the excellence. That means what is the main model? What is the effective project that will be used as a model of the excellence? So that means the main goal is to provide an effective project. Whether the project is an hour-long spices stock or the family festival, whatever the project that is available. So we have to consider the considerations. We have to plan out the things. We have to design the things. We have to evaluate the things, that the main aim of providing quality education remains the same. And this project or this module or this PDF is developed to help the project managers and the education coordinators who designs education projects take the development process to a new level of the excellence. And this PDF or this manual works through the basic of the needs or the basis of the need assessment, project planning, implementation, and the evaluation. What is the project planning? What is the assessment? What is the evaluation? And this information is also intended to answer the questions about the project development process and to be used as an overall project improvement tool. And as a systematic approach to the overall project planning and the implementation phase, processes also continue to outline, and they are encouraged to take a step back and make considerable decisions that will result in the increased effectiveness. Now, what is the main manual? What is the main process that is followed up? So first of all, match the agency needs and the capability. What are the various agency needs that is required? What are the capabilities that is required? Throughout this process, you will be asked, you will be get to consider how many things, how many material, how the project enters the things, how the project needs the agency missions. And knowing how the project fits with the agency priority will also ensure the strategic use of the resources and also helps to build internal support for the project. Next one is realistic objects and the goals that contains the various objectives and the outcomes, and from the development of the needs assessment to designing the final evaluation, whatever the final evaluation that comes up, that needs a designing of the final evaluation of the copy and everything that is used or that is in between, and you want to accomplish, and if you want to accomplish or want to actually accomplish that one, that can be done. There is a difference between the ensuring and there is a difference between the project outcomes and the project components. The next one is use limited resources wisely. That means use the resources of the information, use the resources that is in limited access. To use the limited resources wisely, be careful, and by identifying the measurable objective based on the well throughout and research priorities, project will be focused and resources will be used efficiently. And at various points in the project design process, you will be asked to for the inventory existing material and the programs. And by sticking the stock, you will avoid reinventing the wheel, and by adopting the material that saves the both and time and the money. The next one is a design effective and the sustainable project. So that means design the effective projects and the sustainable project. The project should be as per the user's need, that must be effective, and sustainable means as per the requirements of the user, as per the input given, as per the output given. That project will be as per the requirements. So design effective and the sustainable projects that were designed with the best practices in the mind, that are more effective. Continuous project planning, continuous project improvement become integral to the process. Evaluation is not left to the end. Stakeholder needs are very much crucial. Then last one is enhance the learning process. So in the end, education process are developed because of the learner. So in order to increase a project, in order to increase the developed project, so that must be carefully arranged to be given to the design and the implementation that will be reflected in the learner's outcomes. Now there are two terms that is available. One is a program, one is a project. So we can use any term anywhere. So let's talk about these terms. So programs derive directly from the agency missions and represents the coordinated and the systematic efforts. Then when we talk about the project, that is also taken together, reinforces a program. This is the project development as a cycle. How to use the project development cycle, or what is the project development life cycle that carries from the birth to the mature process. So project development requires a commitment to the systematic iterative process of assessment, design, implementation, and the evaluation. Whether we are going to use the systematic iterative process of the assessment, design, implementation, and the evaluation, and whether the process is described using a flowchart or through the test, it is very important to remember that the process is not linear. Although each stage of the phase of the project development and the implementation project can be described, so whatever the stages, whatever the data that is available that are not discrete. And these steps overlap and interrelate, they provide a dynamic flexible guidelines for developing the effective projects efficiently. And project development is a crucial process, is a critical process in which the results of one phase become the starting product of the next phase. And when we talk about the program project, this is the difference between the program and the project. So there's a program that is used, there's a NOAA, then project activities, whatever the project activities that is used. Then project activities, that is the missions, supports, and the goals. And then NOAA, that is what are the various program development, what are the various projects that is used. So whether the process is described using the flowchart or through the text, it is important to remember that the process is not linear. Although each stage of the phase of the project development and the implementation process can be described, the stages are not discrete, and these steps overlap and interrelate, and they also provide the dynamic and the flexible guidelines for developing the effective project efficiently. And project development is a critical or the cyclical process in which the results of one phase become the starting phase of the product of the another. That means output of one is become the input of the another. And at each step in the process, the project team reflects on decisions and the activities that have gone on the before and assess the successes and the need for the course corrections. And whenever there is an underlying project planning and implementation, that is a premise that learning about how the project works take place continuously throughout the process, and the learning is fed into a backend in the system. And it should be remembered that not all the projects are alike. That is, not all the projects are of the same kind, and how the project development cycle plays will depend on the politics that is surrounding it, that is surrounding the project. So part one is a need assessment. This is the manual organized, how the manual organized. Then the project planning and the implementation, project evaluation and data collection instruments. This is for the development. There's SEE, that is social, economic and environmental condition that is available, that is used. Then there is a practices, whatever the practices that we are following for this one. Then the CASA for the knowledge, attitude, skills and the aspirations, then reactions, participations, activities and the resources. And from resources, it is going for the project evaluation also. It is used for the activities, then there is a participation, then reaction, then CASA, practices and the SEE conditions. And these are the various abbreviation that is used, that is the AFSA, that is Alaska Fishery Science Center, on the COED, Committee on the Outreach, Education and the Diversity, then BWET, that is the Bay West Watershed Education and the Training, Merito, Multicultural Education for the Resource Issues Threatening Oceans, then BWET, that is the Bay Watershed Education and the Training. So these are the various terms, these are the various lines that is used with the top model programming case. So this starts with the first one, that is a SEE condition, then there's the practices, then CASA, then going to the reactions, going for the reactions, participation, activities, resources. After the resources, there is again the activities, then again the participation, reactions, knowledge, attitude, skills and the aspiration, that is a CASA, then practices. After the practices, there is a SEE conditions. Next is the part number 1, that is the needs assessment. How to find out the assessment, or what are the various scenarios that is used with the need assessment.